Today we're going to show by using our air regulator kit we can reduce the amount of compressed air needed by 50%. A regulator kit set between 40 to 60 psi should be installed in front of every air amplifier used. Test number 1 shows this unregulated air amplifier consuming over 30 CFM of air. Install the regulator kit in front of the air amplifier and set the pressure to 40 psi. Test number 2 confirms that after installing our regulator kit set to 40 psi, there is a reduction of over 50% of the compressed air used. The Tsunami Air Survey Kit is used to verify what relative humidity is in your compressed air system. For painting with waterborne paints, the goal is to have single-digit readings or relative humidity that's less than 10%. We need to simulate compressed air system as it would be on a normal working day. To do this, it's easiest to hook up a blowgun on the hose used for painting and let it run for about 10 minutes. This will cause your compressor to cycle on and off a few times, simulating a normal workday. The best time to test is mid-afternoon or late morning, as this will simulate your shop at work on a typical day. Remove the housing from the case and install the bottom cap. This only needs to be finger tight. Take the appropriate plug and connect to the regulator and connect it to your air line. Turn the monitor on and let it run for about 2 minutes. At the end of this time, record your reading. Warning, when testing downstream of a Tsunami regenerative dryer and the humidity level falls below 1%, disconnect the monitor. A couple engineered features of the product is we come standard with an automatic drain on both our coalescing filters and our water separators. So when liquids do accumulate in the drain sump at the bottom, these float drains will raise up and eject the condensate. If you have really dirty, rusty air, we have an option of our electronic solenoid valve to screw onto the bottom of here without any additional plumbing, and that will eject it for a dirtier system. We machine our tubes out of 6061 aluminum, and we anodize them both inside and out for corrosion. Here's some typical way manufacturers manufacture. Most are die cast. Check out the contamination in here. It's a die cast bowl, and any chemicals that are in your compressed air will eat away at that aluminum, get like white rust. Here's another filter that's just a die cast housing. Here's another die cast housing. The drains sit right on the very bottom, so if there's any contamination in there, it goes right to the drains, and the drains will fail eventually. And some of the coalescing filters, again, they're uncoated on the inside, and also they have no automatic drains on them. One thing guaranteed about a float drain, it will fail. It's just a matter of time. What normally fails is you get garbage, rust, debris that gets inside these screens and gets up inside the workings of the valve, and they'll fail. Since they do fail, you need to design your system so if it does fail, within a matter of a few seconds you can take it out and you can replace that drain there. Here's some competitive filters. If you take a drain, you can't even get your hand in there. How do you try to get down in there to hold it? If you notice, the drains are at the very bottom, so any rust and debris goes right to the bottom. On our Tsunami, this little lip right here, we elevate the drain up about 1/4 inch, so we have a sediment trap right there. So if there's any dirt or sediment, it'll give you longer life before that drain fails. Here's another one. Nice filters, coated. Just try to get it so you can replace that drain in there and get it in that hole. It becomes very, very difficult. Another key design characteristic of the Tsunami is the heads. They're machined from 6061 aluminum. They're either anodized or anodized and powder coated. It's the inside of your filters that's the most important part for having the coatings. What happens is you get die cast bowls, And if you look inside there, you can see all that white rust and contamination. Well, the outside looks beautiful, but your contamination that gets downstream in your paint jobs, that gets stuck in your valve, that little white rust, aluminum oxide. You can see around that die-cast housing, you can see all the corrosion. That's your downstream air, so that's supposed to be your clean air. So you just go through this really nice element, you get good clean air, but then it's exposed to that downstream, unanodized, non-coated features. And that's where your contamination comes from. We're going to show a demonstration of the performance of our Tsunami filtration system. What we have here, the first stage of this filter is the Tsunami automatic water separator, and we have this coupled with the Tsunami oil coalescing filter. What we've done for demonstration purposes is we have an airline and we have a tank of water, and we've injected some red dye into this tank so it makes it a little bit easier to see what's going to happen here. We're going to create a tsunami, so we're going to start bringing some air through here with some water. We've created our tsunami. And you can see this is where the fluid's exiting the filter. That's a lot of water. That's a tsunami worth of water. Technology is packaged with a water separator, a Tsunami water separator. It comes into an oil coalescing filter, so we're removing any oil before it gets to the membrane. And then it goes through the membrane dryer. And the technology of how a membrane dryer works is this tube here is full of these membranes. And these are long cylindrical tubes that run all the way down this chamber right here. As the air comes in here, the air flows through the center of these tubes, and as that air passes down through the center of the tubes, the moisture, the humidity, the water vapor is allowed to pass through the outsides of the tubes. So they act like a one-way check valve. When the air reaches the bottom of here, it's very dry. So what we do is at the very bottom of here, we come through and we run through this little orifice right here. And we take a small amount of air, approximately 3.3 CFM of air, and now that air flows backwards, and it flows up and it flows around the outside of all these small tubes. So as that humidity is coming on the outside of those tubes, we take that dry air and we force that humidity up through the top of this filter, this membrane, and you'll see there's a series of holes in here. So when you turn this on, there's a controlled leak right here. You'll hear a little bit of air that seeps out of here continually, about 3.3 CFM. So this is where your air is actually being dry. The humidity that's in the air is coming out right here. The dry air is coming down through here. What we'd recommend is putting in one of our regulators. We have one of our regulators in the kit, and you would set this regulator to maybe 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 40 pounds of pressure, whatever the minimum pressure it is that's going to take to do the painting. The higher the pressure in here, the lower the pressure here, the better the operation of the unit. But it's a complete package. One thing you would not want to do is mount this inside a spray booth where you'd be baking. One of the things that will kill or destroy this membrane is high temperature. The other thing on that membrane is, again, oil. So that's why we package our system with this big, large oil coalescer here, so we keep the oil out. But it's a very simple system. When you're done, so you're not wasting air, when you're done spraying or your equipment's done, you can turn that off and then it'll just sit there. Today we're going to cover the operation of our new manual regenerative Tsunami dryer. This dryer system right here is a complete system. It has the filtration, the desiccant dryer, and we have a stainless steel tank right here that will hold ultra dry air along with a regulator. We also have a valve here that's going to be mounted over next to your man door on your booth, or an area in your booth where you can put the dryer in a regeneration mode, or you can put it in a spray mode. What's going to happen is air flows through here. We take the water out, we take the oil out to protect your media, goes through the dryer here, dries the air. We store 3 gallons of ultra dry air in here, come off the top of the regulator and go to your booth. What we're going to do is when you're ready to spray, what you do is you take this valve and you turn it to a spray cycle. And right now we've allowed this to pressurize, and we can feed air out of this dryer, continual air supply for about 15 minutes straight without having to regenerate the dryer. So by having this on your man door, as you come in and out of your booth, as you're doing things, changing paints, clear coat, base coat, What you want to do is when you come out of the door, just throw the thing back into regeneration. That's going to depressurize this tank, dry the media out here. In essence, your older technology, it'd be like taking the old desiccant style pots, and it'd be like changing your desiccant beads about every 4 minutes. This will stay in a regeneration cycle right now. It'll cycle about every 4 minutes. It'll pressurize this tank and depressurize it, and that's what dries that media out. When you're ready to spray again, just turn it to spray. And what that does is that shuts the little air supply off to this valve that causes it to go into its regeneration cycle. So you just get continual spraying. Perfect application for shops that would be maybe a smaller shop. You have a very small compressor. You can spray for about 15 minutes straight and you're not consuming any regeneration air while you're spraying. Larger drying systems, regenerative, always are consuming some air continually because they're automatically regenerating. This actually automatically regenerates, but you have the chance to turn it on and off. When we go to a regeneration cycle now, every 4 minutes this will go through a complete cycle and it'll just keep going through that complete cycle. From a mode, it'll take about 4 cycles to totally dry those the beads out in here, the media. Very important though is when you go to spray, make sure you're in the spray cycle. If you happen to leave it in your regeneration cycle and you try to spray in about 4 minutes, all the air pressure in here is going to be bled off to 0 and you're not going to have any air pressure in your gun to paint with. So make sure you read that warning there. Very simple system. Tsunami regenerative air dryer. And what it has is it has this first unit right here. This is our regenerative air dryer. It has a stainless steel tank and it has a coalescing filter. Very simple to operate. All you need to do is on the top side here there's a regulator. It's set to approximately 60 psi from the factory. The hose that comes in here would be your spray hose. So all you need to do is connect your gauge there and this would be the hose you're going to spray off of. The next thing you need to do is you need to connect your inlet air supply right here. So from a shop airline, preferably a large diameter airline with high flow couplers if you have them. If you plug in your shop supply air to this inlet right here and then turn this little valve on, that'll allow air to flow from your shop in through the coalescing filter, so we'll be filtering out any debris or oil that could get in and contaminate that media. As it flows through the coalescer, comes down into the dryer, up through the media that's in the dryer, the molecular sieve media, and as that air is being dried, that'll flow down into the stainless steel tank. So we'll store about 3 gallons of ultra dry air. From there, that air is going to flow out to your spray hose. You'll have approximately 15 minutes of continual spray time for real low dew point, real low relative humidity spray air. Once you're finished spraying, what you want to do is now we want to regenerate this because this has captured moisture that was in the air lines. So that moisture is stored in this desiccant media that's inside this tower here. Very simple to do. All you do is this cord right here, through this little timer, you just need to take this cord, make sure you're not inside your spray booth because you're plugging it into electricity. Take this and plug it into 110. This little timing circuit right here will cycle this dryer on and off automatically and it'll regenerate itself. It'll take about 4 to 6 cycles for it to totally regenerate itself. So approximately 12 to 15 minutes, it'll automatically regenerate itself for your next demonstration. Once you're finished and you're ready to go, you can disconnect your spray hose here for your paint booth. You can shut the air pressure off here. And what we're going to do first is we're going to take this little valve at the bottom here, and this is connected to the bottom of this coalescing filter. So we're going to open this valve up here. That's going to blow some air out. It's going to depressurize your system. And if there's any liquids that are accumulated in the bottom of here, either water or oil, that'll disperse that. When you're done, you can shut that valve off there, and then you can safely disconnect the unit there. Now it's ready to go for your next demonstration.
2011 SEMA showed new products. Tsunami Compressed Air Solution, presenting the Renegade Dryer Single-Person Breathing System, the Tsunami Regenerative Dryer and Single-Person Breathing System.